In ancient society, besides the emperor, who held the greatest power, some might mention the empress, others the general, or even parents. After all, the relationships between ruler and subject, and between father and son, were crucial in the ancient social order. However, strictly speaking, the only person who could exercise ultimate decision-making power on behalf of the emperor, that was the prime minister, second only to the emperor and above all others. But was the position of prime minister truly that easy? As the head of all officials, he daily had to mediate relations between officials and the emperor, ensuring that state affairs were handled more effectively and efficiently. During the Song dynasty, there was a prime minister who was once asked by the emperor, "What is the largest object in the world?" Did you know his response? This prime minister was Zhao Pu, and the emperor who posed the question that was none other than Zhao Guangyin. One morning, during court, Zhao Guangyin, bored, posed the question to his courtiers. What is the largest object in the world? If this question were asked by an elementary school teacher, students might offer random answers, such as elephants, mountains, and the scorching sun. But in ancient times, when the emperor posed a seemingly simple question, the answer was crucial. So, one official replied, "Your Majesty." However, Zhao Guangyin's face showed no sign of joy, clearly dissatisfied with this answer. Since the emperor was displeased, let's continue the discussion. The courtiers began to voice their opinions, some arguing about the country, others about the supremacy of imperial power, and still others about the Empress Dowager. But none of their arguments seemed to touch upon the core of the matter, and Zhao Guangyin's expression grew increasingly gloomy. His gaze gradually fixed on the prime minister. Zhao Pu, the officials, momentarily at a loss, naturally turned their gazes to Zhao Pu. Although Zhao Pu remained silent, he was already pondering the matter. The emperor's question must have a deeper meaning. He couldn't waste the official's time that end such a solemn court with a meaningless question. Therefore, to answer this question, one must understand the emperor's character, and, more importantly, his thoughts. Zhao Pu began to recall his time working with Zhao Guangyin. He first met Zhao Guangyin in the military camp, before he ascended the throne. At that time, Zhao Guangyin was a general in the imperial guards under Chai Rong, the Emperor Shizong of later Zhou. During the turbulent era of the 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms, officialdom required little academic scholarship, only a quick mind and prudent action. Zhao Pu's greatest strength was interpersonal skills. He could quickly find solutions to problems that others struggled with. He could easily resolve matters that others found vexing with just a few words. Once, bandits were rampant in the area under Zhao Guangyin's jurisdiction, and he arrested hundreds of them, intending to exile them all to the frontier. However, the large number of arrests included many innocent individuals who were unwilling to plead guilty, and their families constantly complained to the higher authorities. Zhao Guangyin, who had not yet ascended the throne, was reluctant to escalate the situation, fearing the displeasure of Emperor Chai Rong. In desperation, he asked Zhao Pu to investigate the case. Impressed by Zhao Pu's exceptional intelligence, Zhao Guangyin recruited him to serve as a strategist within the Zhao residence, advising him on his plans. As time passed and their relationship deepened, Zhao Guangyin grew increasingly impressed by Zhao Pu's meticulousness and steadiness, often discussing state affairs with him. However, the unpredictable nature of life caught both Zhao Guangyin and Zhao Pu off guard by the sudden death of Emperor Chai Rong of the later Zhou dynasty. After handling the emperor's funeral and commanding a large military force, Zhao Guangyin gazed upon the newly enthroned young emperor. In just a few days, he had become the trusted minister of the later Zhou dynasty. Faced with this sudden change, Zhao Guangyin was at a loss, as he had no experience in state governance. Just as he was at a loss as to how to assist the young emperor, Zhao Pu suggested, "Since you don't know how to assist him, why not ascend the throne yourself?" While Zhao Guangyin was tempted, he felt constrained by his relationship with the former emperor, Chai Rong, who had shown him immense gratitude. Even if he longed for the throne, he had to feign refusal. Seeing this, Zhao Pu thought to himself, what's so difficult about this? So, Zhao Pu conspired with Zhao Guangyi to get Zhao Guangyin drunk, then draped him in a yellow robe, leaving him no time to regret. This scene became known in history as the yellow robe attachment. Zhao Guangyin, drunken just moments before, immediately feigned a sigh after donning the robe, saying, "My dear minister, you act so rashly. What shall I do?" With that, he mounted his horse and led tens of thousands of elite troops toward the capital, deposing the young emperor and taking the throne himself. Zhao Pu, withdrawing from his memories, realized that the emperor before him always sought a pretext, a push. Since he'd asked what was the greatest thing in the world, he was surely trying to make a big deal out of it. Zhao Pu pondered the matter, finally coming up with an answer. Zhao Pu straightened his clothes, cleared his throat, and raised his hands. Seeing this, all the officials in the court shut up, because they knew that this eloquent prime minister already had the answer the emperor wanted. All the civil and military officials in the court, even the palace maids and eunuchs, all looked at him, waiting for Zhao Pu to speak. Zhao Pu saluted the emperor and said, "Your Majesty, I believe that the most important thing in the world is reason. Even gods cannot escape the word reason." Zhao Guangyin nodded with satisfaction after hearing this, and said in a deep voice, "My dear minister, you are right. I also need to be reasonable. But these military generals are too unreasonable." When all the officials heard this, They knew that the emperor was going to start reducing the military power to the military generals again, and they all echoed loudly, fearing that they would be slow to act.